Good evening. Hello, my name is Aretha Gregory once again, and this is our second annual Phoenix Group Writers Conference. The next 2 days, or next day, tonight and tomorrow, we will be speaking about writing, the different types of writing, how to get into writing, how to publish. You'll get to hear some of the experts out of in the writing they love writing in the industry right now, those that are published, those that are starting to be getting recognitions for their publishing, speaking, things like that. So tonight we will be speaking about this first hour. I will be talking to, telling you, not talking to, because the next hour we'll be talking to someone, Mushemsu-t Stewart. Tonight, right now, I'm going to talk about the getting started in writing and what genre to choose. So before you get into all of this, how you publish, who you send your stuff to, things like that, you want to talk about what do you choose? How do you choose? What do you want to write? Do you want to stay in fiction? Do you want to stay in nonfiction? You can write a little both. But what is your expertise? What, not just expertise, but what is it that's inside of you that you want to write about? There's such a big pool of topics to write up. How do you choose the right one? I can tell you from my experience how I chose my genre. I have a wild imagination. I've been telling stories and drawing, as a kid and writing. I have a big imagination. I was the only child, until I was 7, 8 years. I was the only child, and I created stories. I created a land of many characters, and I developed that as I got older, and I kind of stopped writing. But what I did recently in the last 15 years in my writing, I chose poetry and nonfiction. Well, yeah, no, poetry and fiction. I just started nonfiction this year because I am a life coach. So we're going to get to that later. I chose nonfiction. I chose fiction. Let's get it together. I chose fiction because I have an imagination and I tell great stories. And I love people. I love observing people. I love watching people. And sometimes I can just go people watching and I will create a story just based off of what I see. Not judging them, just looking at what is their story. So if I don't get a chance to talk to anybody, I just create stories, and I do that. That's my escape. If I'm not reading something, I'm just sitting, I'm not looking at my phone on the bus or on a plane or driving or taking road trips. I'm actually just in my thoughts, writing, thinking, seeing the world for what it is. And I will look at a house and just create the characters inside that house. I've lived in areas where there are people in our block, and I created a whole story of those people. We just did that. So how I got into poetry is I like to speak about my experience. I like the expression of how I'm feeling and putting it into words. And that's how I got into poetry. And that is just a feeling. So my advice is, how do you get into writing? To me, what I did, I got into, is a feeling when it comes to fiction and poetry. You actually intuitively get into that type of writing because it's what you're feeling. How do you write about that? How do I explain that? Romance novels, sci-fi, thrillers, all of that is fiction. There's different types of fiction, but you narrow it down to fiction, poetry, prose, essays. When you get into essays, sometimes it can be nonfiction, sometimes it will be fiction. But to choose the right topic, basically, is what you're feeling. If you're like me, then you are always in your thoughts and you like to tell stories. If you're a storyteller, not fiction is very good for you to get in. What type of fiction? That's all up to you. If you want to write about children's stories, if you want to write sci-fi, thriller, romance novels, what's the other one? Erotica. It's all up to you. But that's when you start finding out exactly what it is that you want to do. So how do you choose what type of writing? If you're a storyteller, mainly, that's how you know you can get into fiction. You can get into fiction. If you are a storyteller, you are a fiction writer, no doubt about it. You want to create. There are always going to be challenges in the writing, and I'm going to get to that. But to write about something you're interested in, fiction is one of those things. If you are a storyteller, fiction is it. Now, on to the next one, poetry and prose. How do you choose poetry? If you are like me and other people that write poetry, we like to put our feelings into words. We like to put it in stanzas. We like to feel. We want you to feel what we're feeling by putting it into words and making it creative and making it colorful. And that's what poetry is. Poetry speaks to your soul. So if you're one of those people that like to express yourself, and you can do it through words and through deep thought in writing, you are a poet. You're a poet. You're a spoken word person. I won't say person, but spoken word artist. That's your expertise, so to speak. So you can write either one. You can even write poetry and throw a little bit of that in your fiction books. Okay. On to the third one, nonfiction. Now, if you want to get into nonfiction is, of course, autobiographies, biographies, anything that's true. Of course, you know that. So knowing that you want to get into nonfiction, as myself, I'm speaking of this because there's other steps that I've been taking. When you get into nonfiction, writing is it's expertise. So if you are doing, say you're writing about your own experiences or your findings, nonfiction, no-brainer. You have to have facts. You have to be able to back up your facts that you find. You have to be able to quote your references, note your references, build your bibliography, things like that, because you're going to have to do a lot of fact finding. You have to back up what you're saying and what you're writing about. So later, with people reading it, they know where you are referencing to or what you're referencing. If it's about yourself, still, you want to make sure that the stuff you're saying is true. Not sure if you keep up with the news. You have a presidential candidate wrote an autobiography, and some of the things are finding out that some of that stuff wasn't true. So you want to get into writing. You want to be a credible writer. You want to make sure the stuff you're making up is true. You want to make sure that it can be proven, even if you're making it up. At least have something to back that up, right? Okay. All right. So those are the things that are about picking a topic. Now, say you don't want to write books. Say you don't want to write poetry. You don't want to write nonfiction books, or you don't want to write fiction. You want to write. You want to be a contributing writer. You want to write for blogs. You want to write a blog. You want to write a column. You want to contribute. In order to do that, you still have to find your niche. You have to find your expertise. So if you're writing blogs or writing columns, you have to still have an expertise. You still have to know what you're talking about. So say you want to get into blog writing. My suggestion is start a blog. Start writing about what you love. Keep updated on that. We're going to have more about that tomorrow when we want to talk about it. So what are you going to see for the next few days? You're going to see in the next segment that we are going to be overlapping in subjects, because we are going to talk about what one of the other guest speakers are going to be speaking on. So we are going to be consistent, and it all overlaps because it all ties into writing. No matter what you're writing, it's all going to tie in. Okay? So So when you get into writing, you want to do blog writing, you want to do business writing. That's another one. Say you are totally in business in corporate, and you want to write, and you want to write about, write ups on your business, do business writing. You can still do a blog with that. You can submit your writing to business publications, so they can you can submit it, and so they can see what you're writing. They can see if it's good. Some kind of ways that you want to get into that. You want to choose that. Say that you want to do autobiographies. You don't want to do a fiction. You don't want to do poetry or prose. You want to do straight up business writing. First, you have to really, it's more technical. It's like a technical type of thing, because you have to know how to reach the corporate reader. You have to know how to do that. You have to know terms. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to do a lot of research. It's almost as if you're doing school papers. That's what business writing is, and that's how you choose it. Hello in the room. Hello, blank look. Hey, blank look. So, and I'm just saying hello. And what I've been talking about, this is going to be recorded. I was talking about getting into writing, and how do you get into writing, and picking the right topic. So we were talking about business. So if you want to get into business writing, you want to know the terms, you want to know how, and you want to know your facts, how to get your facts, where to back up your findings. It's just like nonfiction a little bit, but with business writing, it's a little more technical, because you're using terms and whatever it is you're writing for. Then you have other writing, like really technical writing. Any type of writing that you go into, you're gonna have to have your stuff together. You're gonna have to know what you're talking about. Except for creative writing. Creative writing, fiction writing, poetry and prose, you can talk about and make up just about anything, because it's all fantasy. It's all in your head. It's all about expressing yourself and being imperfect in this self-expression, in delivering what you're trying to relate to your readers. Okay, so that's the thing about writing. So once again, when you get into your fiction, if you want to write fiction, you can explore that in so many different ways. Fiction writing, if you want to, whatever your passion is in writing, if you want to be a science fiction writer, you have to still, now, one thing I did not say about fiction, when you go into fiction, there are still some things that you have to be able to still know. There are some terms you do have to know. Like right now, I am in the midst of writing a mystery novel for a detective. There's still terms you have to know when you're writing, and when you're writing mystery, you have to know some things. Like say, now it's a period piece. I have to know what was really going on during those times. I just can't bring in technology from the 80s and take it into the 60s unless it's sci-fi. It's a little different. But I'm writing a period piece, which means I have to construct my plot and my characters around that era. Therefore, I have to do research. I have creative license to go take the story anywhere I want to. But if I want to be authentic to the characters of that period, I have to research what was going on in 1960, whatever, and what was going on in the area in which I'm creating these people. That is the piece of what you want to do. So if you're into nonfiction, you definitely want, not nonfiction, I keep saying nonfiction, there must be something going on with that. So if you're into fiction and you want to write whatever stories you have, you still want to do some research on that. So when you pick the right thing, when you pick your topic, and if you know what topic is right for you, just make sure you have an arsenal of research. You have an arsenal of history facts. You have to keep this. I have a notebook that I keep around me, and I do all the time. And every time I get an idea, I log it into my creative or my manuscript notebook. I had this notebook since, let's see, how long have I had this notebook? I had this notebook since 2008. Can you believe that? 2008. See, it's all beat up. I even taped it a couple of times. This is my notebook. I even got my signature on the back. So if I ever lose it, I did lose it one time, and someone brought it to me. I did lose this book. And this is how I know I take in and I write all my ideas down, even paged it. I got 200 pages in this. I got my references thing in the back, if you can see that. Not sure if you can see it, but I got references in the back. Then I have my log book in the front. The log in the front of how I log my notes. Not sure if you can see it. Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, I'm not sure you can see that, but it is kind of bright over here. But anyway, this is a notebook. So if you want to, keep notebooks with you at all times. Keep a notebook with you. Write your ideas down. I have several notebooks. I also have a script that I've written, and this is the script that I've written. This is one episode, and that is definitely part of my process. So when you pick your writing topic and you pick the genre that you want to go into, you definitely want to have some sort of, for one, vision of what direction you want your characters to go. You want to stay consistent in what you're writing. So if you start out with something that, say it's a thriller, you can make it a little, you have creative license to turn it into whatever you want, but you don't want to lose your reader. You don't want your readers to think they're going to read a sci-fi novel and it turns out into a dramedy, a drama comedy. You don't want to do that. You want to have your intent. Your intentions is to grasp the writers that are interested in your topic, in your genre of writing. That's for anything. If you're writing an autobiography or biography, it is you want to still stay on top of your reader, because if you writing about someone boring, you can write all day long. Not too many people are going to really be engaged. Unlike, you have very few, but you still want to be interested. You want to capture your audience. So whatever genre you take, any genre that you go in, you want to capture the audience. Okay. All right. Well, it's getting 6:30. It's 6:30, and now we have 30 more minutes to get in with Mushemsu-t. And I do want to just thank you guys for tuning in with me and checking in with me about the writing. I am going to still hang on. I'm going to play some music while you guys are listening, and I am going to be right back. Okay. Thanks. All right. We are back in our second half. I am recording again. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for our Phoenix Group Second Annual Writers Conference. Tonight, we will be speaking to Mushemsu-t Stewart at the second hour, which is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am your host, Alanda Gregory. You will see my beautiful face for the next day. And we are going to talk about some really great topics about writing. The first half of the hour, I spoke about choosing the right genre or topic that you would like to talk about or write about, right? And this half, I'm going to touch on why is it so important to choose a topic, especially if you're trying to shop your book out, especially if you're trying to target a certain audience. So let's get on with that. So basically what you want to do when you are picking a genre or a topic to write, for one, these are the things you want to keep in mind. Now, I already touched on fiction, nonfiction, memoirs, autobiographies, biographies, poetry, and prose. This is why it's important to pick a genre and to basically, I say you want to stick with the genre. You can play around, you can choose whatever you want. You can actually go back and forth, but you want to get grounded in a genre. And then if you want to explore others, you can do that as well. So if you are an expert and say that you like writing expertise and you have a lot of nonfiction books out and you want to go into fiction, you have to be clear. You have to do there's so many things you have to do in order to get your audience that's been following you to understand that the next book you're putting out is all fiction. It's a romance novel. How do you do that? How do you start into that? You can write whatever you want, whenever you want. But when you have a following already, you switching gears, you have to prepare your audience. Not just that, I'm going to tell you why it's important to pick your topic, why it's important to pick your audience. And so because if you're starting out, like you say, I'm in my 40s and I want to write for teenagers, I have to, for one, engage that audience. So if I've been writing expert books and things to attract people my age and older, and then I'll switch gears and want to attract a younger audience, I have to go into how, I have to really dig deep into how do I get that audience? How do I attract them? How do I get them engaged? Okay. But first, what's more important is how do you choose the topic once again? How do you choose your genre? Why is it important? Okay. So if you do, you choose your genre and why you choose it. Know this, editors and agents, they want to see if you know what you're writing. Those are the people you're going to be pitching your ideas and your books to. So when you pick a certain genre in writing, romance, say we're going to start with fiction. You want to pick romance or science fiction, thriller. As I said in the last half hour, you start off writing, it looks like a romance novel and it turns into sci-fi. You not saying you can't get sci-fi and romance together, but when you market your book has to be a certain genre so your agent knows how to sell your book. Or if you do self-publishing, you still have to know how to get your book. Where area do you put your book? How do you market your book? Where do you market your book? How do you label what you're writing? Okay. So you have to know what you're talking about, and you can't, like I said, you can't switch gears. You have to pick one. If you are writing a science fiction novel and it turns into a romance, just flipped, you have to still choose your genre. It has to be about what you're writing. So if it's science fiction and there's a little romance in it, you can't lose sight of the science fiction piece, because then it sounds like you're all over the place. You have to choose what you want and write about it. Now, if you throw a love scene in there, you can do that. But you have to stick to a topic. Your agent wants to know how to sell it. And before they can even get the book and sell it, they want to see if you know what genre you're in. Okay? That's why it's so important to choose a topic, to choose a genre, to choose wisely, basically. So you can have all types of things going under your head, but you stay true to your art when you stick to your topic, okay? And you pitch your idea to a publisher, an agent. When you get your book and you self-publish, you don't want your book, if you want your book to be worthy of reading, you have to know what you're writing. If you're going to go into fiction, you're going to go into romance, comedy, science fiction, whichever one you're going to pick, choose one and put all the rest of that stuff in there. You know what I mean? So that's when it comes down to your agent. Say you want to pitch your book to an agent or to a publisher, you still want to know what you're writing, stick with what you're writing, and build your characters around that. Okay? That's one thing. It's important to know your topic because you want to be sellable, marketable. That's it. Also, your ideal audience will know how to find your book. That's another reason why you are picking the right topic. The last half hour I talked about how do you choose your topic. You choose your topic based off of your style. What is it that you want to do? You want to write. If you want to write fantasy, then you want to engage your fantasy audience. If you want to write science fiction, you want to engage your science fiction audience. If you want to write thriller, you want to engage your thrilling audience. But you also want to find the ideal audience. If you're picking a certain generation, you still want to be able to stay true to that. So basically, once you pick your topic, once you pick the genre you want to write, you want to start doing research. And I said that in the last half hour about doing your research. How do you do your research? What is it that you want to write? Who is it you want to engage with? Who is it you want to talk with? Who is it that you're trying to open up to and sell your book to? If you want to write children's books, you can write children's books. Okay. All right. And let's see the next one. Okay. So last half hour, I talked about your, how do you get started? How do you pick it? Okay. So you have options. I don't go by the list of what other people write. No, I did a lot of research in the last couple of weeks, and I've seen that they tell you like, well, you want to write this because this is what's hot right now. Whatever it is you feel compelled to write, or whatever you feel compelled to, this moving you into the direction of writing, you go with that because that's your instinct. To me, I always tell people, follow your instinct. I am one of those people, and I say this as a coach because I am a coach, a life coach. I support what people are, what they're dreaming, what is their vision. I support vision. I'm not going to tell you how to do something so you can get rich quick, because you still have to do the work. Even if you get rich quick, you still got to come back and you got to do some work because you're missing a piece. Now, if you're about just getting rich quick, then go ahead and go with the tides. But if there's a particular genre right now, you want to get in it and write it, you can go right ahead. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel that you're not into fantasy, don't write it. Don't write the fantasy if you can't. If you don't feel fantasy and that's the hottest thing right now, don't write it. Don't write fantasy. Write what's in you to write. That's what you do. That's how you do it. All right. So also picking a topic, you look at the genre, the elements in your work. Once you start writing your stories, like I said, if you're a storyteller, you can write fiction. Okay. You want to look at what is the element in it. If you're writing something, as I said before, if you're writing a science fiction and it turns out to be a love story, you may want to reevaluate that story and see if maybe then a love story taking place in a futuristic world, and then it can be it could be a romance novel based in the future. You know what I mean? So that way you know which way you're going. What's the age group of these particular people? That's what you want to do. You want to check out the element. If you're starting and if it's a thriller, a mystery, and your mystery turns into horror, you want to kind of get that element. If it's turned into horror, you may want to relook at your piece of work and see if you want to now typecast it as horror. That's kind of what you want to find, the element of your story. You want to do that. Find the element of your story. So first you want to stick to a topic, find your target audience. What is the element of your work? Who is it? What is it you're trying to write? Where are you trying to go? Because if you're selling it to an agent or you're selling it to an audience, If you're self-publishing, you still want to engage the reader in what they want. I am a science fiction reader. I do not want to pick up a book. It's supposed to be science fiction, and then I'm reading a romance novel. You get what I'm saying? So you have to sometimes, and I take it in my experience, you want to be the reader as you're writing. Would you read what you're writing? So that's part of the process in picking a genre, picking picking a topic is writing. Even if you're going into blog writing and nonfiction writing, same thing. Would you take your own advice? If you're writing a book on expertise, would you take your own advice? Would you actually retake your advice if you're writing this book on an expert, something that you have experience in? Would you actually read it and be like, hey, okay, this is good, I can do that? Would you want to do it? You want to be the reader when you're writing. Write it, look at it, not being critical, because sometimes you're going to be your own worst critic and have the best piece of work and it sits on the shelf for years because you don't think it's good enough. That's a whole nother workshop. We'll talk about that. But right now, you want to stick with a topic. You want to engage your audience. You want to pick what genre you're writing, what age group you're targeting. Reason why you're picking the topic, you want to sell to a particular agent. You want the agent to know you know what you're talking about. You are a science fiction writer. This is my science fiction. And if you know what you're talking about, the agent's going to sell it for you. If it looks like a good piece and it may have some suggestions, that's what you want to do. So that's part of it. You also want to be the reader when you're writing, even when you're writing columns, even when you're writing nonfiction. You want to be the reader, okay? As far as, so let's see, what else did I have on here? I think that's about it. That's about it. I did not get into, when I said picking a topic also, or picking a genre also takes you into how do you pick a title. Your title and your subtitles, you want to grab an audience. You want the audience that you're targeting. It's all about targeting an audience. Who is it you're trying to get? What is it you're trying to relate to the reader? Okay, I have a book out now. I'm on Amazon on Kindle, and it's called The Harvest. And to my pleasure, there are other books out there titled The Harvest. Mine is under mystery. Okay, so mine is about this mystery. It's a mystery fictional writing period piece, and that is what I use to engage the audience by calling it The Harvest. Twin horror, and that's at the bottom. So that was my sub. So seeing The Harvest and twin horror, that let the reader know right there, this is a mystery or a thriller. Okay, so those are the type of things. You want to do a lot of research. You want to know your audience. You want to pick a topic, stick to it as far as the project is concerned. As I said before in the last half hour, I write nonfiction, and I just started fiction recently, as well as poetry and prose. I've been writing fiction, I've been writing fiction, and I've been writing poetry and prose for a while, and I just got into the nonfiction and expertise because I have become a life coach, and I write about my expertise. So I'm writing a book right now that's going to be released next year, and it's about what I have experience in, what I coached other people in, and that is fact-based. I have a lot of my experience in it that I can account to. So basically, the nonfiction that comes out is not made up. And so that way, I'm building my audience. I'm into building my audience because I am a new writer. My first piece of published work was this year, and debut Writers Guild. They have a book, a publication that comes out every year, and I contributed a piece of poetry or prose in that. So basically, when you start, once again, when you're starting your writing, when you're choosing your topic, you want to do the key things. What is it you want to write? What's the element of what you want to write? Who do you target? What's your audience? Who's your target audience? How well is your story put together before you shop it out to an agent or a publisher? Are you staying true to what you started out with? If you are in mystery writing, is your book mystery, or does it turn into a romance novel, or does it turn into a horror book? Those kind of things you want to take in consideration when you are writing, when you are choosing a topic. Okay, and as when you do choose a topic, just feel what is it you're feeling. I am one of those type of people. I like to feel what I'm writing, right? And what are you writing? What are you feeling? What is it that you really want to relate to your reader? What stories do you have? If you have in you that you like to tell stories, go for it. Okay, go for it. Even with short stories, you can even start off with short stories. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, about submitting your work, where to submit your work, what are the writer's resources, how do you get started, and basically. When you pick your topic, you may want to start in writers groups, start submitting your work to contests and essay writing, things like that. You may want to do things like that. Join a writers group. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But today, we want to stay on task, and you want to definitely stay in the realm of what you feel is speaking to you. So if you like to write, and you like to write some of everything, just know each piece you put out, let it be true to the genre that you're putting out. If you want to write a romance story, stick to the romance. And as you start building a following and you're known for a romance writer, you can do that. But if you're going to switch gears, you definitely want to groom your audience for that. Okay. So once again, about picking your topic, you want to choose choose the right topic, not right. I won't say right, but you want to choose your topic based off of what you like writing, or based off of what is it that gets you to write, gets you to engage. Choose your audience. Stick to a topic. Stick to that genre. Once you find your audience, stick to the genre. Don't switch gears in the midst of your writing. Do not start writing one and then turn it into something else. You confuse your audience. You don't want to do that. Okay? Don't want to confuse your audience. Also, be sure of what you're writing. So when you do give it to an agent, they will know. Don't go into that, you're pitching your idea to an agent and you're like, well, it's a little bit of this, it's a little bit of that. They don't like that. They don't even, you started doing that. They don't want to know anymore. You lose them. You want to go in and talk with someone. Be like, all right, I got this idea. This character is going to be in this, doing this, and whatever it is you want to keep it. You're telling a story. It's just like as if you're walking in and you're talking about yourself, and you don't turn into another person. When you're pitching or you're going to a job interview, it's the same thing when you're pitching a book. Okay, you stick to it. You choose a topic. You stick to it in your writing. When you're writing a piece, stick to that. Stick to the genre you're writing: romance, thriller, science fiction. It's a bunch. I'm going to actually go over what the topics can be in the genre of fiction: romance, mystery, science fiction, fantasy, thriller, suspense, historical. Those are the examples of genre in fiction and in fiction writing. Okay, even with poetry and prose, you can choose different types of you can choose different types of poetry you want to write about. And if you're like into politics and political science, you can write about that. You can write, you can express. But poetry is expressive. You can just about write um, any type of poetry, but whatever it is that you feel, you have a creative license to express yourself. And whatever you're known for, that actually starts speaking for you. Whatever topic you choose, whatever genre you choose, start speaking for you. That's why I said when you pitch your idea, you want to stay on task. You want to stay true to what you write. And if you're switching gears and you want to go another direction in writing, you want to bring some of your audience with you, or you want to also get a new audience. You want to engage, so you have to know your target. You have to stick to what you know. You have to stick to a story. If you write one story, stick to that story. Stick to that genre. Do that, okay? You want to engage your audience. You want to engage a publisher, agent, especially when you start shopping it out. Even when you go into, I did not touch on even film and script writing. It's the same thing. You want to pitch your idea to a studio. You want to pitch your idea to someone that may want to produce what you're writing for TV. You want to still, like I said, you want to still stick to it. If you're doing, say, there's a TV show, Law and Order, if you're doing a fact with policemen, you want to stick to that. You know, and if you want to go off into the, what firemen do, or what policemen do, or what doctors do, you start a new story. Okay, thus it's called a series. So you have series of your topic, and then you have different topics, and that's. But if you want to know more about this is, like I said, this is a teleconference, and in this teleconference, you will not get all the information, but you will get some of the information. And if you want to know more about what we do, definitely email me. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Hello. Follow me and
Hey,
hello.
can you
How
hear
are
me?
you?
Can you hear me
Hi.
okay?
I can hear you really well. We're just wrapping up. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. This is day one of the Finish Group's second annual teleconference. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. This is who I've been telling you all about all night. This is Mushemsu-t Stewart. I'm so excited to have you on here. This is our second year. She did it last year with us.
Yeah,
We did it on Google Hangout, right?
right.
Uh,
Remember.
this year we only go out a new platform. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give a little history about who you are, so everybody knows. Um, everybody knows what you got going on. Well, you're going to talk about all that, right?
Probably not, but I don't think they're interested in all the stuff I have going on. They came here to publish and write, and who I am is not important about now, except for I've written several books, I've published several books, I've coached people in writing and publishing books. That's all they want to know. Who I am and all that stuff, they don't care. I mean, even if they do care,
You're right. You're right. And then besides, that's a whole nother conference.
Exactly. Because that's come on. we have so much we're doing. I was thinking about that today. And I just want to say how grateful I am that you and Lawana and whoever else your team is that's doing this. Thank you so much for really doing this work. Because Master Force, you know how we do. We just keep moving. And you say, well, wait a minute, move. We have to do the teleconference so that people can know that, we want to help them get published. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't do that, I'd just be, I don't know, I'd just be out there.
And I do want to thank you so much for even taking time out to be here with us, because you are busy. Yeah. I you're going to be doing something else.
Yeah, I did have to turn down a few things, but that's okay. I mean, and I don't even like to use the word busy. I'm involved. I love that I'm available for my community.
Mm-hmm.
That my gifts, my time, my talent, my vitality, it's all about making a difference in my community. Most people don't have that option. Most people have to go to work. They all about their money. So they don't have that same flexibility that I have. And so this is a part of the work that we do in serving our community. So I'm grateful to have the time for that. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm just excited about the next day or so, because looking at all of the body of work that all of us done collectively, you guys, y'all some good. I love it. I love this genius energy that we all take pride in. And writing is one of those things that until you get in it, you don't really know what it takes to do it.
And this is true. And this is why we take time out to support people who have a vision as a writer. I remember I have been writing and knowing that I was a writer since I was 14 years old. I mean, 14 was my coming of age year. I really got it. I started doing yoga. I started meditating. I started writing. I remember my first poem was about the green caterpillar. In Chicago, they had the L trains that went behind my house, my apartment, and every 3 minutes you heard a train, and it was these trains. They were all green and they were full of people. And I wrote this poem about this big green caterpillar.
Wow.
I know, right? And so writing really is inside of people. There are people that came here specifically to share their voice with us. They came here to teach us something. They came here to inspire us. They came here to encourage us. They came here to motivate. So there are people who really are in need of what it is that we're bringing to them, because we'll make their life easier. You talked about setting up and having a writer's group, really having people get comfortable. But we go beyond that, because we bring metaphysics into our work. We teach people how to meditate, right? How to download, how to create a partnership with their soul, so that they're able to, give the question, what should the next chapter look like? What are my characters' names? Where are we? What's the location? Go to sleep on that or meditate on that, and it all shows up. I mean, we have those kind of workshops for people. So, I'm excited because we really can, and we really do make a difference for the people come to us. So, again, I just thank you for this platform. And although, you youngins in this technology, this week I had to learn Zoom, I had to learn WeChat, I had to learn Snapchat, and then you say, Auntie, we gonna be on Blob. I said, oh my goodness. Was just getting, I thought I was doing something, because I was good with Twitter and my blog and Facebook. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna resist. I'm gonna get in here and let's get it done. So, thank you for your patience with me.
You know what? It's an actual pleasure. And I was talking to Keisha earlier today. She'll be on tomorrow. And I said that it's really interesting how I have a lot of expertise and all these different things that go on. And my curiosity is what get me to seek the net.
That's your mercurial mind. Yeah. I don't have a mercurial mind. Lead. Think lead. Saturn. Solid. We move slow. I don't know how I lasted 20 years in the IT industry. I think it was my intuitive. No, that's right. I have a Gemini moon. But that's a different story. I'm sorry. We digress.
See, there we go. So okay. Once again, I do want to thank you. So tonight, I want to touch on publishing and using writing. I keep platform. So first, let's talk about the publishing.
Yes. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell, just 3 or 4 minute story about my first book, right? And it was so interesting because I had been talking about writing a book for maybe 20 years. My whole life was about, as soon as I get my apartment clean, I'm going to sit down and write the book. Then it was like, well, as soon as the kids grow up, I'm going to sit down and write the book. Then it was like, well, as soon as, this man leave, I'm going to write this book. It was always about something had to happen for me to write this book. Right. And one day, my daughter, she was 17 at the time, and I was driving her to school, and I saw on this garage, it said, fully joyful, patiently waiting for nothing. And, I'm driving her back and forth, and I'm thinking, I get fully joyful, but I don't know how you patiently wait for nothing. I mean, what in the heck does that mean, right? And so after a few times seeing that quote, I came home one day and I just wrote it down. And I just said, I'm going to meditate on what it means to patiently wait for nothing. Like, really, what is that? And then, so every day I drop her off, I come home, and in my meditation, I really look at it. And then I started thinking of places in my life where I needed to look at that, and I wrote this list of things out, right? And I'm just, a couple of weeks had passed, and I had a list of topics, and I didn't know I was writing a book yet, okay? I just had a list of topics. And so one Friday night, I stopped and got me a bottle of Merlot, and I sat down in front of my computer, and I decided that I was going to just write essays on each of those topics and really look at seeing if I could find patiently waiting for nothing as I wrote. Atlanta, I wrote from, I want to say, 6 o'clock that evening until 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And it was 27 topics by the time that I had finished the list. Then I laid down about 4, got up at 9, and wrote all Saturday. Just wrote. Finished the whole thing. And then Sunday morning, I invited my daughter and her boyfriend to come with me for breakfast. And I said, I just want to share this with you. I want to share. I said, because I think I'm writing a book. It looks like a book, doesn't it? And they were like, yeah, So I shared it with them, and they were blown away. They absolutely loved it. And my daughter's like, oh, mommy, this is a book for real. This is really good. And then she's that Libra, so she's kind of meticulous. I asked her if she would edit it, and she edited it. And then she came back and she told me the structure, how she would like it. And so I changed the structure on it and introduced some other characters in there. And that was Monday. And I'm like, oh my God, I've written a book. I had it sitting there, looking at it, ready, titled, Patiently Waiting for Nothing. The next day was September 11th. No, when did 9/11 happen? Yeah, September 11th. Yeah. 2002. That was that Tuesday morning. And my girlfriend called me and she said, are you watching television? No, I wasn't. But I turned it on, and I got to see the second airplane go through it. And that literally, my life began a different journey at that time because I was in the technology industry and I worked 10 days a month, but they shut down the company. It was like no travel for the rest of the year. So that book that I had finished called Patiently Waiting for Nothing went on the shelf. I had to go do something else because it was like my livelihood had just shifted, right? And it wasn't until a year later that I ran into a friend of mine at a Roy Ayers concert. And she asked me what I was doing. And I, at the time, had a hotel, and I told about my hotel and, the different things we were doing there and different ideas we had about it. And I said, oh, and, I finished the book, and I have to find it, because it's on one of my computers someplace. I said, because I'm thinking about getting it published.
She said, really? She said, I just started a publishing company. I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, I'm already working with a couple of writers. She said, I would love to read your book. And I said, well, okay, I have to go find it. And I think it took me a couple of days, and I sent it to her. Her name was Marilyn Foster. I love Marilyn, right? I sent it to her, and the next day she called me early. She said, I couldn't put this down. She said, I cried all night. I couldn't put it down. She said, I've already contacted Borders. They would like to have your book in their hand, before the end of October. And this was like the beginning of September. I'm like, what? She said, yeah, they have a new series for new writers, for neighborhood writers, right? And I'm thinking, well, I don't have a graphic designer. So, of course, I called my niece, and in 2 weeks, she had the graphic design. And then Marilyn told me, she said, I want to show you how to be your own publisher. Let me just show you how it's done. So she gave me the software. We worked with editors. I'm telling you, it was just the most amazing. And then we had the book done. We were on the shelf of Borders soon after they asked for it, and she had me going around, giving certain, speaking to certain stores. And it happened in less than 30 days.
Wow.
So I wrote the book in 3 days, and it was on the shelves of Borders within 30 days after I put it in the public.
Wow.
And that was about timing. So I told that story because my first item here, it says complete your manuscript. Right. What do writers do? Writers write. I don't care what you're writing. If you are a writer, you write. You write your blogs, you write your Facebook posts, you write letters to people, you write poems, you write letters to your kid's teacher, whatever it is, writers write. And really look to expand your writing by reading. You just keep that going. But the other piece about writers that's so cool is that they have something to tell us. So that book that I wrote called Patiently Waiting for Nothing, that whole year that I was not, that book was sitting aside, I was learning how to patiently wait for nothing. Because one of the rules that I know about the soul is that you can't teach something you don't know.
Right.
So it was like I had to really be clear that everything that I wrote about was my truth. Right? I'm a nonfiction writer. That's where am I nonfiction?
Yeah, you're nonfiction. and poetry and prose. So yeah.
I just write. I mean, come on. I let everybody else tell me what it is, right? And then I want to tell you that my audience was written for people like, Matt, Uncle Matt, right? Because I know people, first of all, that don't have time to read. And then for some of the men that I know, the only time that they do read is when they're in the bathroom. So I would put books in the bathroom specifically if I wanted to share things with, some of the men who were my friends, my confidants. I would put the book, I had a library in the bathroom so that when they sat on the toilet, it would be something enticing there for them to grab and read. So my book was written not for this academic appeal. A lot of people write to say, oh, I'm this intellectual, smart. I don't write for that. I literally write because I want to make a difference. Like I want this person to start that first line. And when he gets to the end of that page, he's had a shift or she's had a shift. So women can take my book and put it in their purse. If they have to ride the bus, that's the kind of person I am. I'm for the average, everyday person, that needs to be inspired and uplifted in the moment, So when people are looking to write, really look to see what is it that you have to tell us.
not so much what you have to say to impress us. You know, when you get your stuff written and you bring it to me as a publisher, or you take it to an agent and they set you up with someone, they're going to set you up with an editor who will help you actually, you know, get it clean and crisp and nice, you know. You just want to get your concept in there. You want to get your writing in there so that we can hear your voice. You know, now, I want to be careful. Some people writing really bad. I've worked with some people, and it's not that it's bad, but it's that it seems like if they're not clear about the punctuation and conjunctions, then it can really be hard for the editor. So you may want to sit like I did with my daughter. I asked my daughter to please clear it up for me, to please edit it. So then the commas were in the right place, the periods were in the right place, and, but, wherewithal, whereby, this, whatever was in the right place. You see, you don't have to know how to do all of that, but you do want to get your voice out. So make sure that you're clear about what it is that you want to say. So, you know, that my first point about getting published is to complete your manuscript. Don't wait until you have a deal or somebody, because it's harder to write on demand than what it is with your creative flow. When your creative flow is slow, I'm telling you, when I sat and wrote that book in 3 days, well, and you know, if I look back, it was inside of the download that it was coming. And that's why we created that workshop, so that people can really get in touch with themselves, with their topic, and where it becomes one with them, right? And then the second thing, you know, I kind of touched on this a little bit, is that you want to get, and I think I heard you say this, Alanda, get inside of a writer's circle, you know, or just get your girlfriends or your guy friends, or get some people and just ask them to sit and read with you. If you sit in a circle with your book and you have people read out loud to you, I promise you will hear what needs to be corrected. You'll hear it for yourself. You want to do that before you give it to an editor, because again, you want to make sure that your voice is solid. When you give it to an editor, if your voice is not solid, yeah, they're going to add their voice to it. It will be their voice. They will add the words that they think should be there. Okay. So really, you know, sit with a group of people. I'm going to say at least 3 people, 3 or 4 people who's reading your book. And even if you have to go in sections, you know, in chapters, just read a chapter at a time. Don't be in a hurry. If you have something to say, I promise you, just like my book Set for a Year, it's not, that was in 2000, so it didn't get published until 2002, right? A whole year later, it was still relevant. 13 years now, it's still relevant. It's probably more relevant now than it was then. So, you know, we still need to hear your voice. And then also about publishing, I'm going to tell you this. I tried for years to get published. That first book that I actually, that wasn't the first book that I wrote, but I say it is because it's the first time I published. The other ones that I wrote and sent out to agents and sent out to publishers and Writer's Digest, you know, you can go in, send this SAS in and see what they want. I did that for years. And I started collecting rejection letters. And I decided that I did not like that. I did not like that. And so even before I met my friend who was a publisher, I had decided that I needed to know how to self-publish. I said, I don't need for somebody to pay me to finish my book. What I want is for my book to be out there. I want people to know this information. I want to share it, my gift, right? So you want to start putting aside your budget to self-publish. And all you have to think about is, okay, you've written this book. Now, the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pay a graphic designer to design your cover. So you're going to set aside your graphic designer money. Now, I'll tell you how smart you can be. Get some envelope. Get some envelope. Every time you get paid, put $10 in the envelope for your graphic design. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to need an editor, right? You're going to need somebody to edit. Put $10 in there the next time. Then the next thing you're going to do is once you get your cover and once you've edited it, you're going to have to print the book. So you put some money aside for printing the book. You know, since print is on demand now, you only need to print like 100 copies at a time. And the printer actually has it digitized. So next time you need 100 books, you'll print it, right? So you set aside that envelope. And then the last envelope for what? Marketing, right? This is marketing. So you have 4 envelopes now ready for your self-publishing project. Now, all you have to decide is when are you going to move on that? You have your envelope. Now, if you've been setting aside $10 every week or however long, you can get your graphic designer right away. Or you can contact Masterforce Press. We are a publishing house. We work with those who are looking to be published, right? But you're like self-published. It's like self-publishing. It's just that we have everything in one place. So we have the graphic designer, we have the ghostwriters. If you have an idea but you can't write it, we have somebody that can help you. If you have a book and you would prefer to record it and have it subscribed, have somebody not subscribe, script or whatever you call it. So what do you call it? Scribe, right? We have somebody who can actually type that book for you based on you talking into. They have a term for that. I forget because that's old school. But anyway, we can actually transcribe the book. That's what we're doing. Transcribe it for you, right? So we have all of those in-house. And then we also have the printing. We can send it out nice rates for you because we have a publishing house. That means that we are always sending books to press. So they're always giving us a nice, solid fee. Right? You know, it's not astronomical. If you're first time out and you're going to look for printing, you know, sometimes they'd be like, yeah, that's $12 a book. And you're thinking, well, that's what I was going to sell the book for. Yeah, we'll help you with all of that, right? And then we'll also help you with the marketing. So, but you're still going to need to pay for those services. But the best part about it is you'll be with a group of amazing writers. And many of our writers are coaches, you know, so they have a listening for your greatness, a listening for what it is that you're wanting to provide your community. You know, so, you know, you can actually have that. So get your budget together, start setting aside, invest in yourself. Do not, the biggest mistake that I see, the biggest mistake that I see gifted people do is they sit there and they say, I want somebody to pay me for my gift before I use it. Good luck with that. You know, I mean, if the world worked like that, yeah, we would all be paid in full, right? The way that you get paid is to demonstrate. You have to demonstrate that you have value and worth within yourself and that you are willing to invest in yourself. When people actually see that you're putting effort into something that you believe in and that you believe in yourself, then they'll think about investing in your next one. But in that first one, yeah, you got to bite the bullet.
Now, some people, after they work with a publishing house, they go on to other books. Then they can say to Random House or Hay House or Macmillan Press, they can say to them, look, I sold 1,000 books. And they'll say, oh, well, we'll give you, such and such and such, as what do you call that, up front. Now, I didn't do that because I'm really community based. I have a lawyer here. Once I learned that I could support people in getting published and writing books, that's what I wanted to do next. And now I've written 4 books. And I've published. I've written, like I said, I started writing poetry when I was 14, but this is the first year that I'm actually publishing a poetry book. So it's like, yeah, how many years? 40-something years of poetry in there. So that's exciting. And when I go back and read it, I'm totally changed. Different in my life. So, Alanda.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, and the poetry book that you speaking about, that is Loving It All.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yay.
Yes, Loving It All. That should be. I think we're going to print. We actually in the work that we do everything with the moon. So it's like, we go to print with the new moon. So we just now are ready to go to print because the new moon was yesterday, right? Right. So that's just me. I mean, we wouldn't hold you up, of course, unless it was a Mercury retrograde. But
well, I have a question. Someone asked me a question. Like, are you going to read a poem?
Oh. Am I going to read a poem?
Out of your new book.
Out of my new book. I can do a poem out of my new book. I wouldn't know where to find my poem to read it. But let me see if I can do one of my favorites. Ooh, let me see if I can remember it. Let me see if I can do My Mama Sings, okay?
Yes. I love that one.
You love that one? Okay, let me see. My Mama Sings. She woke me up this morning. I could hear her loud and clear. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. My mother's voice bellowed, sending rippling waves through my soul, the way that a pond moves when a pebble is tossed. Although her touch was short-lived, some people say that my mama was the sexiest woman that ever hit 53rd Street. And I can tell by the way that she wore her hair and manicured her nails and did her clothes that looking good was part of her demure. And I can still hear her singing loud and clear. My Lord, don't move my mountains. Just give me the strength to climb. And Lord, don't take away my stumbling blocks. Just lead me on around. Yes, she had so much to get over. And when she flinched, the light went out. Where is it? Where is the light? How can we find it when a father took love from his child who only knew how to love? The only thing she could do was love. And yet she loved us through the pain, through the darkness, on into health. And I can still hear her singing loud and clear.
Good morning, heartache. You are a lowly sight. Good morning, heartache. Thought we said goodbye last night. I tossed and turned till it seemed you had gone. But here you are with the dawn. Joy. My mother gave us joy. The best that she could do was to love us where she was. And now the best that I could do is be the joy that she was to me. I can sing, I can sing, I can sing. I believe the children are our future. And teach them well and let them lead the way. And show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us who we used to be. And that's the end of that joint.
Ooh, yes. Awesome.
Oh, I've never been on a spot like that.
I love it. You know, it's funny. I did not expect for Free to ask that question because normally, I wouldn't, but to put you on the spot like that, I really didn't like it. And Free said, "Really nice, thank you." That was amazing. And the book is going to print soon, right?
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
You said the book is going to print, right?
It's going to print, and then we should have it out on Amazon within the next probably 10 days. And we're also working on the audio. So the audio should be out, within a couple of weeks too. We're working on getting it out for the holidays, for the holy days.
Right. Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. So now let's talk about using your writing as a speaking platform.
Yeah, very cool. So, you know, one of the things about having a book that's so powerful is that when you want to create topics, you already have it at hand, right? You can write a 30-minute topic from your book, just from one chapter. But then you also have a piece of yourself to leave with the audience, because once you've touched people's lives, they want more of you. So your book becomes something for them to have. You don't have to read the whole book. So one of the things, say for instance, for Patiently Waiting for Nothing, we literally have 27 different topics in there that we can speak on, that I can speak on when I go to any kind of speaking engagement, right? However, when that topic is done, we can share all the other topics that are available, and now people, you know, would want you to come back, or, you know, they're definitely going to buy the book. So how you shop yourself is inside of the different topics that you have, not just the title of the book, not just the title, but the different topics that you can speak to. You know, books are, you know, have a lot of content, and sometimes we don't realize how quick a minute can pass, right? You know, it's like, yeah, you can speak for a long time on just one page of a document. So you want to know that whatever your good points are in each chapter is actually what you're going to use, right? You're going to use that. And then the other thing about your speaking topic is that you want to make sure that you know who your audience is. What does your audience want from you? How are they going to use what it is that you're sharing? So you can pinpoint it. You can pinpoint anything, any topic that you have. All you have to do is get inside of the mind of the person that you're talking to. So, you know, you want to know the age, you want to know the socioeconomics, you want to know the educational background, you want to know quite a bit from them, so that when you're speaking to the audience, you can direct them inside of your book on what it is that they need from you. Okay. And then the other thing that I would say is that you want to know what your teaching points are. What are your teaching points? And when I'm speaking the teaching points, every teaching point has a story, right? So every teaching point has a story, which means that you can go and look in that chapter, and whatever story is in there, you want to make sure you share that with the audience to illustrate the point that you're making, right? So you don't have a whole lot of teaching points, right? But you want to have enough, because, you know, a lot of times your speaking engagements are anywhere from 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 to an hour. So you can really fill something up inside of one chapter. But if you have speaking points, most of your speaking points need to be emphasized through a story. People remember images, right? They remember images. So you want to make sure that your story illustrates your teaching point. And then you also want to be able to have whatever you're talking about handled on one page. You know, you don't ever want to have to read your speech. It's your book, it's your material. So if you know what your teaching points are and you know what your stories are, that's all that you have on those book, on your page. And then what you'll have is other reference outside of your book, right? Other references outside of your book, whether it's websites, blogs, other books itself, other speakers, other people you can direct people to, because you're embellishing people's knowledge at that point, anytime that you're speaking. But the best part is that when you're done, you can say, and my books are for purchase on the back table. Or you can say, you know, you can go online, the link is this, or you can have a download card. However it is that you're distributing your book, people are going to sell. Most people are going to want to get your signature, right? They're going to want you to sign off on it. So, you know, prepare yourself for that. I can tell you that my biggest challenge with my first book was book signings. I didn't know I was an empath then, so I didn't know how to shield that energy. And yeah, it took a lot for me to go to those book signings and to be with people who just wanted to be with me. I was like, you know, I wasn't like that, but I felt like that, you know. I'm an introvert on top of that, so it took something, you know, but people really do. They want to touch you. They want to touch your book. They want you to sign. They want to take you. So, you know, it's really a good thing. And I suggest that if you have written a book, or even if you're in the, you know, you're finishing up a book and you're getting ready to publish, really look for speakers bureaus. I know that on our list of things to do is to create a speakers bureau within the next couple of years, but we're not quite there yet. You know, people call me for speaking engagements and I make myself available, but I'm going to suggest that you find speakers bureaus out there if you have written a book or if you're almost finished with a book, and go out there and test yourself. Put yourself out there. You know, really just go and see what you have to offer. If you really want some tips on speaking itself, you know, hit me up. You know, I've been speaking for many years now, and I've taken classes too. I've been trained to be a public speaker and to really connect, because it's not so much what you say, but it's whether or not you allow people to feel you, whether or not you're open to allowing people to connect in a way that they feel like you're giving them energy. If they just feel like you're taking from them, you know, and you're not giving anything back, then you're missing something. You're really missing something. You're missing a great part of that reciprocity, you know, because when you're doing it right, you actually get so full, you know, and you know that it's part of the gift that you're sharing with people. So those were the 4 tips that I had, or was it 5, whatever it was. But do you have any questions behind that?
Well,
I read them fast because I'm nervous after seeing them.
Well, those actually are good questions. Those are actually good topics and speaking points, because a lot of people don't know, you know, and I'm one of those people that I realized this year, just from what I do. I joined, well, I've just been visiting, but my intention for the next year is to join like a Toastmasters, so I can
Yes.
take the classes and learn more about articulating in front of a large audience, because I'm still nervous when I speak to people doing even spoken word. I'm still nervous standing in front of people, and I hesitate when I talk, or I feel
Yeah.
that I'm learning that. So that is good information, because being nervous is no, I know what type of the coaching and inside of what we talk about. Talk about that with people using their book as a speaking platform, but speak about how to not be nervous.
Well, it's interesting, Alanda, because I don't think there's a not be nervous concept.
Okay.
The reason that I say that is because, you know, excitement and fear feel the same way in your body. You know, so it's like butterflies in your stomach, right? And so it's funny, when we're in love, we say it's butterflies, but when we have a speaking engagement, we say it's nerves, right? But it's just a feeling of energy in your solar plexus, which is what? Your power center. That is energy giving you access to another level of yourself that you're going to need. When you're speaking in front of a group of people, you need to pull up more energy, because you're like a generator. You have to generate yourself. And then if the people are dead, and some people are when you're speaking to them, you have to generate a lot. So your solar plexus goes into overtime, making sure that you have all the energy that you require, all the power. So the best way to access that is to what? Breathe. To go deep into and have your breath actually tap that energy source and pull it up for yourself, and just align with it, and just know that source of power is there for you. It's for you to use. You know, what some people tend to do is they tend to go to the fear route, and they cause it to constrict, and they hold their breath, they hold themselves back, and they shrink. And that's what stage fright is. When it's actually the same feeling, and all it is your solar plexus coming to your rescue. It's coming to aid and assist you. If you know, you sometimes see in some of the Oriental, of the higher spiritual countries, they wear wraps around their stomach to protect that area. They don't want extra energy going into that area. You know, this whole thing with your midriff out is crazy, because all of your main chakras are right in your abdomen, and you're exposing them to what? All kind of energy. You know, so you just want to go into your breath. And if you want to put an extra wrap around your waist when you're speaking, you know, sometimes I put my hand right in front of me, you know, and and redirect the energy with my fingers.
That is so good. It's interesting how when we look at topics like this, especially with this writers conference, how you tie in some coaching inside of that. And I listened to that, I loved about it, and that's why I'm so glad to have you on tonight, because you actually set a pace as to the message you want to send to everyone in the world, that all of this ties in together. And that is so important, because I'm telling you, last week I did a piece went to some reading. It was a book reading, and it was with the Writers Guild out there. And when I got up there, you know, they had their speakers, and then they had anybody going to come and read a piece. I read a piece that I've done so many times, but last week I was so nervous. Let me change that. It wasn't the nerves, it was the power, because what the tone was set, and it was a melodic tone. You know what I'm saying? Because they were reading, they were, you know, it was intellectual reading, and I get up there and I spoke a word, you know, so that. Because I noticed when I started talking, people stopped in the bookstore and just looked and just stopped and looked at me. And I think that's what made me like, they're looking at me.
You know, one of the things that high-end entertainers do, and I love seeing Janet Jackson when she does this, she literally takes about 3 or 4 minutes to just take in the energy of the people. And I remember one time this was probably about 2 or 3 months ago, I was speaking to a group, and just after I mentioned my name, I got so full, I got so present to the love that I was feeling, that I told them, I said, wait a minute, I have to stop before I start, because I am so full right now. I can feel your love. And I started crying, right? Somebody had to give me some tissue, you know. But I mean, it was real, and people were moved by that. I mean, I was moved, but I really felt them, you know, and so I had to acknowledge that. So sometimes before you start, just stop and just really connect to them. Just really make eye contact with people. Just really be with them, you know, because true performance is really about give and take. It's not about just you being up there doing something and people are pulling from you. People really are giving to you too, but you have to let them in. Right? So the way you let them in is to connect and let them know that you see them, you know, and that way you have time to go into your breath. You know, it doesn't take but 2 or 3 seconds to pull in your breath, you know, and just look at them, so that when you open your mouth and you can say, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Everybody knows that the number one fear that everybody has, well, that 90% of the population has, is the fear of speaking in public. 90, might be higher than that, look that up, but 90% or more of the population have a fear of speaking in public. So when they see one of us do it, it's like, whoo, yeah, one day. So yeah, just be with it. I mean, everybody up there is, you know, wanting you to get it, because they know that they can't get up there and do it. Or the ones that did get up there and do it, they know what it takes. So therefore you too.
Okay. You know? That makes a lot. That is really great. And that is one of those pieces of information that was very instrumental, because writing is a part of what we do. But if we want to go in another direction, and like we have to go out and talk about what we do, that is something to tie in. That is so important. And really thank you for touching on that. I thank you for the publishing. Thank you for, you said excellent point.
You know, one more thing that I would add is Bach flower rescue remedy. So you got to keep some of that Bach flower rescue remedy in your purse, because it helps to calm your nerves before and after. And also squeeze your thumb.
Hey, Freeze, if you're on, you want to jump in and say hello? Yeah, he's here. But before let's see if he comes on or not. Tell everybody how they can look for your next book. Where do they go? How do they follow you?
So, Patiently Waiting for Nothing. I believe both the ebook and the hard copy are on Amazon. What's my other book that's out there? I think Let Your Wealth Flow is on Amazon. New Goddess Agenda won't go out until the spring, because we're that's a whole community that we're building around that. You know, it really is about raising up our sisters and supporting one another, and the goddesses, the queens. You know, we have to. So for those of us who are just about to make 60, you know, it's important that we reach back to those in their 30s and 40s and help them inside of their goddess. You know, people are calling themselves queens, but before you can get to queen, you gotta get to that goddess. You gotta raise that God within you. You know, you have to know that you are the source of your own existence. You know, you can't call yourself a queen until you're ready to build a kingdom and feed a kingdom. That's what queens do. Queens are not, you know, queens and actually take on, they actually have went through being the goddess to get to the queen. Everybody doesn't get to be a queen because everybody is not going to feed the kingdom. You know, so it's not that every female is that, you know, cultivation. You have to cultivate yourself to those levels, you know, so it's important, those of us who know about cultivation, it's important that we reach back and support younger sisters and brothers too. I support brothers too, into getting into their spiritual essence. Because you don't do it just working on the outside of yourself. You really have to tap into and raise that God within. So the New Goddess Agenda will come out in the spring, where we'll have a full community. And even though it's called New Goddess in You Goddess, it's really, men can read it too, because men are raising young goddesses who will someday be queens, right? So, yeah. So that book will also be on Amazon. We're going to make a big to do about that in the spring. So we'll have a big coming out, a big launch around that. About that one. But the other ones are on Amazon, and Loving It All should be out there before the end of this year, because it takes a minute for us to do those little steps, you know, and I have to get myself out of the way, which I've been good about, because I can get too meticulous, and you know, so that's good.
No, really? You get meticulous? Really? I hadn't noticed. I didn't know. Well, in case anybody is wondering to see this, I am a life coach. I work with Master Force. I am one of the writers that you speak of that in support of other writers with Master Force and Master Force Plus. The books are great. I had the pleasure of reading 2 of them. I haven't read the 3rd one yet because it's not out. New Goddess Agenda is awesome, and Patiently Waiting, the course. Those are going to be. Is the course going to be reintroduced next year, or? Yes. We'll reproduce the course. We'll create a website community around that, and we're going to actually tour cities. So when you're ready to launch the New Goddess Agenda, the community, and do that, I would love, because this is going to be a platform that we're going to be using a lot, and I will do that for us. Oh, yes. I would love for us to do this again in the spring, to be part of that. So of course I'm going to be part of it, because I'm going to help launch it. We're going to be right there with you. But we would love to talk about that in March, because it's interesting. Well, you said spring, so I don't know exactly what spring you're talking about. The spring of 2016, because it's ready to go. It's ready to go. We just have to put the elements up around it, the website, and you know, we already did training with, you know, we've trained Goddess lead, so we're ready. We just have to put the website up, and the reason we say spring is because, you know, we want everybody to rest Absolutely. 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 And that was that's one of the reasons I did the teleconference this week because of the new moon. I planned, I planned this months and months. And I wanted to do it this week because of the new moon and to get the writers out there that are interested in getting into writing. It's a good time. I know this is that Writers Awareness Month, was that Novel Writers Month, but I wanted to go a step further into the energy of the new moon and ending this year with intention that if you're writing, this is a good time to get into your topic, get into what you want to write about, plan for the next year. This is a great time. November closing out the year. This is a good time to do it so we can go on and get the moving. All right. So I do thank you. So what is your website and how do people get in touch with you if you want them to get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook, so you can find me, Rita Mushemsu-t Stewart. I also have a fan page on Facebook called Mushemsu Life Coach. So yeah, so those are the best ways to get in touch with me on Facebook.
Cool, yay! And also, she does speaking engagements, things like that. I sometimes talk to the press person, so I'll let you all know more about that. You'll see through Phoenix Rise Productions. And I do want to thank you again so much for stopping, taking out an hour of your time to sit with us, to share the gifts.
Yes. And I just want to encourage people to write. The people need to hear your story. Your story matters. Makes a difference. I am in awe of the human spirit. I mean, I listen to people talk and tell me what they've survived. And although I don't cry in front of them, I could, but sometimes people need you to just listen and not be moved. But it's so inspiring that people live through things and survive it and then become really good people with big hearts. Those people, we need to hear from you. We need to know, how did you do that? We need to know, do you know who you are for us? That you matter. Tell your story, because somebody else, it can make a difference. It might be what they need to hear to get over something very similar to what you went through. So Master Force Press, Phoenix Writers Group, we're all here. We're here. We're going to be reaching for you, and we're going to find you, because we're going to meditate on you and send energy out there and just, draw you to us.
Yes, we are. Thank you for that, because we are. I truly believe that. I was just speaking to someone yesterday on how I want the support. I just ask for this us as a group, that we sit and support each other in writing, because I've showed this notebook. I have a notebook that I've been keeping since 2008. Stuff that I want to sit with other people and to read it. I mean, I have the script already in one episode. I need people to sit with me and give me ideas, and I give them ideas, and the community, because writing is something from the heart. And it's not popular, but it's like you said, tell your story. We want to hear stories. Go back for centuries. People always love telling stories, and absolutely, you speak from experience, speak from the heart. And I really thank you for that. I thank you for coming on tonight. I'm so excited.
Thank you. I was I have a children's production that I'm working with this week. They go live tomorrow, so I was finishing up with them, and it's exciting just to be engaged in life. I love being alive.
Yay! Well, we are wrapping up. Thank you again, Free. I saw Free tried to come in and he couldn't get in. So tomorrow, come back, you guys. Tomorrow, 2:00 Central Standard Time. We will start off with my partner and writer. Her name is Takesha Howard. She has several books out there. She's going to give her expertise on marketing and her experience, what she's writing and what she's working on, as well as then we're going to talk to Luana He's my she writes blogs and autobiographies. Jason, that's her other son, Jonathan Johnson, which is the middle son, and Free Talk, going to talk about poetry and prose. Then we're going to wrap up the conference, and then we'll talk about writers group support and things like that at the last hour. We're going to join and hang out, tell your friends, share the link, get more people engaged. This will be available. The whole conference will be available in video. It will be available for 24 hours up until Monday. And then after that, it will not be available anymore. We are there he is. Hi. Hey, Free, thank you so much. And so this is one of our writers for tomorrow. He's going to be checking in tomorrow. Tell us what you're going to be talking about tomorrow.
So we'll be talking a little bit more on the poetry. Can y'all hear me? Okay, good.
Yes.
Number one, love that poem. Love the integration of the music with it. That was really good. Loved how you were able to do it on the spot.
Thank you. Thanks for putting me on. I know. I'm marveling at that myself.
I know, and as poets, sometimes we gotta expect that. And I don't have my poems memorized, so I give you props for being able to do it off the top of your head.
That's one of my favorites, and I actually took on last year memorizing it because just in honor of my mom. She's passed on, but I wanted to be able to say, if nothing else, that one.
You did great, and
thank you.
I love the point that you talked about the public speaking. I froze up on stage one time too, and
so you know what I'm talking about, right?
I was up there, and this was a solemn occasion. So I'm up there, and I knew I was going to say, and next thing I know, I'm looking out at everything, and I just froze. So I had to stop for a second and breathe. I did this really cheesy smile, and then I kept going.
Yeah, right.
Good job.
That's it.
Tomorrow we'll talk more about poetry and the thought process that goes into that, as well as the writing process. Some of the things we talked about in terms of the marketing, the publishing, the printing. But we'll touch a little bit more on some of that and maybe business side of it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very cool. Well, thank you. It's great. Thanks for letting me be.
Thank you so much. And Free is also going to talk more about his. He has a blog talk radio. We may want to get you on one Monday night. The Writers Talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. When my
absolutely. Yeah, the book will be out soon, so that'll be out for print. Yay! All right. So once again, we are wrapping up. It's 8 o'clock. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you guys so much. Thank you once again, Mushemsu-t. We'll be talking soon. We have a lot of other stuff going on. But thank you, Free, for calling in, and see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for attending the Fingers Group second annual teleconference, day 1. See you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bye-bye.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.